Hi guys, my name is Mark Mitchell. I'm the Corporate Sales and Fitness Manager for Live Fitness, Live Leisure. I operate or look after the 5 fitness studios in the area. So we've got 2 here, one downstairs, one upstairs. We've got obviously we've got 2 here at Linsport. We've then got 1 at Downham Market Leisure Centre. Yeah, we've got 1 at St James's, and we've got 1 at Stanton Oasis as well. So we look after the whole of West Norfolk. My day-to-day job looks from anything from marketing, promotions, sales, management of sales staff, management of fitness operations, including the team of fitness staff and group fitness instructors as well. So that's what I do on a day-to-day basis. So let's open up to the shop floor and get any questions.
What sort of budget do you have for 5 facilities?
We have a corporate budget for the whole Alive Fitness facilities, yeah, and we break that budget down into fitness income, yeah, and group fitness income, yeah. Because obviously we want to be able to, the reason we break them down into individual budgets so we can see if any particular service is performing better than the other or vice versa, so we know exactly what element or part of our business is performing. Yeah. So the 2 main budgets are the fitness income and the group fitness income. So group fitness meaning classes, things like yoga, body pump, Pilates, spinning, things like that. Yeah. So we have one of them for each site, and then that all links into a big budget in terms of a corporate budget, so we have them all together to see where we are, because that way we can drill down at any point. We can see what area is working or not working, depending on what site it's at. It could be that group fitness at Downham is not achieving what it should be doing, or the group fitness from Stanton. So unless you have those mini budgets on those different services, you don't know whether you're doing.
So you don't know which ones to push the market.
Exactly, yeah. So it might be that we find that last month we didn't do particularly well on the fitness side of things or the sales side of things at Linsport. So we now and then need to know we need to push a Linsport rather than say Downham. Yeah. So it just helps us to identify our business and identify what's doing well and what's not doing so well, and move from there. That's income, so that's anything people paying us, so whether it's direct debits over the counter, etc, etc. Your other budgets you've got are your expenditure budgets, yeah, that's where we're paying out for a service or staffing, and normally what we have is, again, that's all broken down as well. So give you an example, one element of an expenditure budget might be staffing, yeah, but again, under your staffing budget you have staffing for group fitness instructors, staffing for fitness staff, staffing for sales staff. So again, if we was overspending on a certain staffing area, we'd then be able to find out where it is and we can cut down on it, saying, well, actually we overspent on sales staff last month, so we need to then get that back this month, so we know where we are on a day-to-day basis. So it's really important with budgeting is finding out what areas are working and what areas aren't working, so that as you can manage it and you can measure it and you can manage it. Yeah. And as I say, key learning outcome: if you can't measure it, you can't manage it. Yeah, so it's a good sort of little gem there for you in terms of you have to be able to measure stuff to be able to manage it. Yeah.
Would a big expenditure be the equipment in the gym?
Yeah, I mean, for instance, with expenditure, you've got even with your expenditure budget for equipment, you might have, well, what we call a capital expenditure, which basically means what equipment do we need to get new or replaced, because everything has a shelf life, doesn't it? So if I buy a set of dumbbells this year, they're not going to last forever, are they?
No.
So I then have to think, well, actually they cost me £4,000 to buy a new set of dumbbells this year. I estimate that it'll last me 4 years, so I need to make sure that I've got £5,000 in year 5 to buy a new set again. Yeah, so you have to budget and plan for that as well. So part of your budgets is planning for the future as well, to say, well, actually, in 3 years' time, I know I need a new treadmill, and that new treadmill is going to cost me £7,500. So I need to make sure that in year 5 I've got £7,500 in there to be able to. Otherwise, when it gets to year 7, my treadmill's broke. I've got no money to buy a new treadmill. Yeah. So again, it's just finding out, but so it's all about planning as well for the future in terms of knowing what equipment you've got. You might get things. I've got a general what we call maintenance budget for equipment. So if a dumbbell breaks, for instance, I can then have got a little pot of money that I can manage to say, well, actually, I'll replace that dumbbell now, as opposed to waiting 2, 3, whatever years. It just would work like that. Yeah? So it's like an emergency fund, a bit like if you've got cars or mopeds or bikes or whatever. you've got a little fund that you can spend on fixing it. Yeah.
Would you say that you tend to be like more individual, like each branch? Would you say that they're more individual, or do you work together as a whole?
We used to be very individual. Before I took over, we used to work, for instance, the staff would have different uniforms at different sites. They would use different program cards at different sites. So even though they were technically run, because each site was run by their own manager, and each of their managers had different opinions of how it should be run. So when I came into my post, part of my remit was to make sure that everything worked corporately. So if you went to Oasis, you got the same level of service at Oasis than you did if you went to Downham or you came to here. Yeah, and that meant everything from making sure that the staff all looked the same. They're wearing the same uniform. Yeah, because our memberships had that if you were a member here, you can go to Oasis, you can go to Downham. So why should it be a different level of service if you go to a different one of our sites? Yeah? So we now have a full, what we call corporate approach. I manage all the staff in all the sites anyway, so that makes sure that the corporate ethos gets through. And that helps with us being able to market our facilities that we've got 5 fitness studios as opposed to 1. Yeah? So we've got 5 fitness studios as opposed to 1, and that's a good selling point for us because whether you live in Stanton, it might be you live between Kings Lynn and Hunstanton, which basically means you've got 2, well, you've actually got 3 gyms to go to: St James's, Lynn Sport, and Oasis if needs be. Yeah. And if you live in Kings Lynn, you've got all 4 as an option. If you fancy a change, you go to Hunstanton Oasis and have a workout. If you fancy a change, you go to Downham and have a workout. So you've got those options as well. So not anymore. Each individual site has its own personality, but in terms of the fitness element, it's all pretty much the same. Same equipment, albeit on a larger or smaller scale, but everything's pretty consistent.
Do you do a lot of advertising?
We do. We do what we call a corporate annual plan, and we tend to work in 4 quarters. Yeah. So quarter of the year is obviously going to be 3 months. Yeah. So if you break the quarters down, you've got January, February, March, April, May, June. Yeah. And then you've got your other quarters as well. So we tend to do a New Year promotion, January, February, March. Because obviously people after Christmas are just sort of thinking about, we need to put need to lose a bit of Christmas weight, etc. Yeah. So what will happen then is we'll try and prompt people to join our facilities on a New Year promotion, and then obviously when January, February, March is done, you then into sort of spring. Yeah. People think about holidays, they think about getting in shape for summer. So we do like a spring into fitness campaign, something like that, and then you're obviously looking at then you're moving into your sort of summer months, aren't you? Yeah. So people are mainly outdoors and want to do things outdoors. Still, again, you're going on holiday, so on the good like beach body, you want to look good for holiday. And then you move into the latter part of the year, the autumnal part of the year, when the clocks go back, don't they? Yeah. And basically the days get darker, so people want to exercise back indoors as opposed to outdoors. The schools are then back to school, aren't they? Because the summer holidays are finished and the kids are back to school, so mums now have more time to get back into fitness and classes, etc. So we run like an autumn campaign, pre-Christmas, getting ready for Christmas, etc. So we run 4 quarterly campaigns, 4 quarterly launches, and we'll have a little bit of a hook for each of them, like a beach body or spring into fitness or something like that. And we might offer a different, whether it's free join or something. We'll think about what's called a hook. You have to have a hook to get people in.
So say like in the beginning of the year, you'll say sign up for a year and get so much % off.
Yeah, it could be.
So then straight away you've got the cash flow.
Yeah, it could be anything. And again, if we need a big injection of cash, we might do a cash option, like you just said. But generally speaking, normally smaller businesses tend to go down that route because the cash flow is so important. We're quite a big organisation, so as much as cash flow is important, we can afford to, go down the direct debit line. So we've got an income coming every month that's sustainable for us. But again, there's nothing ruled in, there's nothing ruled out. Anything could go. We could decide to do a one-off promotion on a special type of membership if we wanted to. I can sit down and say, right, what we're going to do, what's new, what's interesting, what's different. Yeah, and that's normally a good one. So the NID, new, interesting, and different, is normally good when it comes to promotions. Is it new? Is it interesting? Is it different? Rather than doing the same thing over and over again. So we're trying to be a little bit creative like that. And in terms of how we go about getting it out there, obviously you've got your social media, you've got the radio campaigns, your TVs, your usual stuff you've got, haven't you? Yeah. If it's going to be tried, we've already tried it. Yeah. Competitions, papers. We haven't done television. That's the only one we haven't done. Purely because television tends to be a bit more nationalised and costly as well. But yeah, so television is probably the only thing we haven't done.
Even though you say you have a plan leading in and that, do you have free reign to change it like if something's not working?
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, what I'm saying to the group is we normally have those quarterly plans that go out, but we always like to have a backup plan, a plan B. Yeah, something that we can throw out at any time. So if the proverbial hits the fan at any time, we can basically just go and get a plan and think, right, launch it and deal with it. Yeah? So we have a plan B, like an off-the-shelf campaign, just to say, look, we need a hit of income, we need a hit of memberships. Let's go out and do something now.
Do you look at like the other competitors' prices, like the other gyms?
Yeah, we do. I've just undergone actually what we call a full competitor analysis. Yeah, now that full competitor analysis will look at what we do. Yeah, so what we do well and what we don't do well in terms of a SWOT analysis. You've heard of a SWOT analysis? Yeah, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. So we look at our strengths, we look at what we do well, we look at our weaknesses, what we could do better. We look at opportunities for us to improve, and we look at potential threats. And when you talk about the potential threats, it's the potential threats of other businesses in the area that can potentially take members away from us. You know, for instance, Heroes locally has just opened up, yeah? So they're a potential threat to our customer base. So by knowing ourselves, but also by knowing our competitors, we can then best align how we then market to our customers and what makes us different to our competitors. Yeah?
Say if their prices was really like low, would you then lower yours or would you keep it the same?
Not necessarily,
No.
because price is not everything.
No.
Yeah, you know, you've got it.
Yeah.
You know, there's a balancing act to be had because you know it's a bit like if you look on eBay and you see, and I always use this in my sales training. I always use this analogy. If you look on eBay and you are looking for a phone, etc., and you see the same phone, the same specification, one's got a picture and it's £50. One hasn't got a picture but it's £20. Which one most likely to buy?
Picture.
Why?
Because actually you can see it and it's good.
You can see it, you can see the quality, you can see it's genuine, etc., etc. There's a certain element of trust behind buying products.
Yeah.
You know, and what you have to do is you only have to see the level of quality of our facilities, but also what you can't see and what is hard to promote is the level of service that people get.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, you guys might not need a lot of help in the gym, etc., but the majority of people do, and that's where we're different because we can offer a lot more quality of contact.
Yeah.
Yeah. If I said to you, you're more likely you're going to see, you know, a one-to-one personal session with one of my staff members every month. Yeah. But it's going to cost you an extra £10 a month extra. You're more likely to probably want to do that than not have that. So we do look at prices because obviously people do pay on price, but it's not the be-all and end-all. It's all about that balancing up of the quality. And at the end of the day, who does want to be the cheapest in town? What do you associate with cheap? Word association.
Not very
cheap,
good.
Not very good. Cheap and nasty. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cheap rubbish. Yeah. You buy a cheap car.
It's going to break down.
And you get what you pay for, don't you? At the end of the day. Exactly. Yeah? So, you know, if you buy a product from us or you buy a membership from us, you can get the help and support that means you can achieve your aims and goals.
Yeah.
Rather than get bored after month 1, month 2 because you've got no help or support and move on. Yeah?
Business comes through word of mouth.
Most definitely. Yeah. Biggest referral word of mouth. And that's because you deliver quality and then you get that referral.